Can someone also share it on um, our one pack chat? Okay, why does it say go live? Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's very exciting webinar that we have. Hi, Diana. How are you?
Hi, Achilles. How are you? I'm good, actually. Just having my
I
tea
am.
here.
I am very well. I'm very excited on today's webinar. I see a lot of people, right? From
Yes.
last week's mental health talk, and then today there's even more people. So we see a wonderful appetite on our webinars lately, especially on mental health topics. So thank you all for being here on our call. We are also live on our workplace. So for those of you on Workplace, if you want to join us here on the Zoom call, you can. Or if you want to remain on Workplace, just tuning in, you can as well. Okay, and First of all, if you are on the Zoom call, please have yourself on mute. It's nice to see some faces here. So the audience also can see you guys actually from the other side. And we are actually very, very excited, right? And today we have a very special guest that's going to speak to us about meeting fatigue. Is it real? Is it a myth? What do you do about this? And then effective strategies in managing a remote team and enabling better new norm communications. So Diana, I'll just pose a question for you. So it's been over what, a year and a half since most
Yeah.
of us have been working from home.
Mhm.
And so how has it been for yourself?
Well, at first it was really like a change. Like we have not been practicing working from home previously, and then suddenly we have to be working from home, and it's all meeting from 9 to 5. So it was a shock, but then we adapted, and it's a new normal now already. Yeah, I'm sure you feel
That
the same way too, Achilles.
I absolutely feel the same way too. And actually, I do like working from home. I do like working remotely, right?
Yeah.
Um, so definitely. And just a little bit about our presenter today. She's Marissa Ng. She is a Nullery executive coach, founder, and CEO of the Spark Group Asia, associate certified meta coach, leadership intelligence coach, ex-corporate and investment banker, turned leading business growth specialist, master coach, professional speaker, over 10 years of experience, Diana,
Yeah.
coaching experience in helping SMEs, business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders in turning around their business and leadership roles. So a lot of certifications and someone that is really suited to speak about, an issue that most of us, all of us are facing, and we're still navigating and still learning, right? And a lot of you have submitted questions beforehand. So if you're in this call today, if you want to submit questions, you can use the chat function. Later on, we'll be reading those questions, or you can unmute yourself later on after the presentation by Marissa. So let's not delay it anymore. Marissa, thank you for being here with our authors. We have over 100 viewers here, plus on the other side on our workplace. So welcome to today, and welcome to AirAsia.
Yeah, thank you, Achilles. And thank you, Diana, for having me and the wonderful introduction. I'm so happy to be here with all the all-stars. So I'm totally stoked. I think this is a topic that has been on a conversation piece for many of us, because we've been in this lockdown per se since beginning of last year. Beginning of last year, some of us got really good at it, and some of us were rocking it. And some of us are still like, oh my gosh, I'm getting more exhausted. The third time, the fourth time, I'm not sure if I'm going to make it. And so there's a lot of that conversation. And that's why I think it was really crucial that for us at Naluri, we brought this conversation here to work with the all-stars. How do you get the best of the virtual culture? How do you rock it? Yeah, so I'm totally excited. Are you guys excited? All
Yeah.
stars, are you guys ready to rock and roll? If you are, say yeah. I'm reading all your chat right in here while I flip open my slides, and then we can rock and roll. Okay, let me get my slides up. Yeah, all right. Oops. Okay, I can see everyone's chat, can I? Yeah, there we go. Cool, very cool. Bernardino, did I pronounce that right? Yep, Diana, yeah, all right. Gang, so chat me up in there. The chattier you are, the chattier I'll be. Victor, thank you very much. Awesome, you can hear me loud and clear. All right. Okay, so let's rock and roll. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the virtual culture, and a lot of the stuff that we've been working with as executive coaches and leadership coaches around the region. We've been working with many different multinational companies, all the way to SME, small, medium businesses as well. The virtual culture is new virtually to everyone across the board, including myself. The difference is I've had the privilege of speaking to many different leaders and been a part of many forums and communities, that there has been a lot of conversation about what works and what doesn't. And I'm going to share all of that with you. Plus, what's even more exciting is there's also, you guys did a poll. So I'm going to talk about that poll. How did the All Stars fare in this virtual culture? All right, so let's dive right in. This is a little bit about the Spark Group Asia before I go in, so that you have a little bit of an idea. We're a coaching authority in the region. So I've got teams in Malaysia, I've got teams in Vietnam, as well as Singapore. And the virtual culture has been something that we've had to deal with, not even because of the pandemic. You know, we were already dealing with coaches from around the region and in different languages and different cultures. I believe it's the same thing here for us at the All Stars, right, gang? So we've got all of that to deal with. It's just that when we are in the virtual setting, we have to work from home. All of those differences get intensified. They get emphasized. How many of you know what I mean? It just gets emphasized. So if I can, this is what we're going to talk about today. The Spark Group Asia, we actually are accredited with 4 different companies. So if you've heard of Neurosemantics and MetaCoach Foundation, this is actually a bulk of what I'm going to talk about today, because Dr. Michael Hall, who is actually based in Texas, Neurosemantics talks about realizing the highest human potential. So a lot of that, it has a lot to do with leadership. A lot of that has to do with how we coach, how we empathize with people. And I think that was a great webinar that you guys did last week. And I'm going to dive into a lot of that. But more important is, how do we get results with our team as we work remotely, as we manage our own personal lives, when we work from home, our kids are running around, and I've got to get this webinar going. So it's real, and I can't go to the office and leave that part of my life behind. I've got to deal with it all there and then. So where's my emotional intelligence around all that is what we talk a lot about at Neurosemantics and Meta Coaching. All right. AccuMatch is a behavioral intelligence tool that we use here from Canada. An Action Coach, of course, is a business coaching company that we are also affiliated with. This is myself. I've actually written several books. The MPH Guide to Starting a Business, that was written by myself in 2014, and Great Business, Great Life, that was authored in 2018. All right. And my past life, I think, thank you so much, Achilles, for sharing my past life, because I'm now more a coach than I was a banker. And my last stint, I was with CIMB. And I'm very, very thankful that I've made the shift. So I'm going to share a little bit more with you about my journey as well throughout, since the last 13 years of coaching. And as we dive right in, okay, so I don't want to take too much time, because I think there are a lot of questions that are coming from the All Stars. Yeah, there are quite a few bit of questions. So I really want to leave a lot of the questions for the Q&A section later. But I have some really, really powerful stuff to share. So let's get right in, okay? So today's session, we're going to talk a lot about meeting fatigue, okay? So whether it is real or whether it's a myth, whether it's my imagination that I have more meetings when I work from home from when I actually go to the office, you know? So is that an imagination? Is the fatigue or the exhaustion real, and what do I do with it? So that's the first part to address, because we've been staring at screens for some of us 2 to 3 hours a day. All right, when we talk to people, but I know some people, myself particularly, I can be looking at the screen for 8 hours non-stop, webinar after webinar, coaching session after coaching session. And I start at 7 a.m. and I finish at 6 p.m. all the way, boom, boom, boom. All right. So I'm going to share with you some killer strategies on how you handle the fatigue, because it's real. Now, number 2, how do you deal with a remote team? And this is very crucial, because it never used to be for us as Malaysians. We would deal with our team members in other countries, but maybe they're not that many. But now we have to deal with the whole team in remote, and it is actually spotlighting. It highlights the areas in the gaps that we have when we work as a team. And so I want to bring that forward so that we can talk about it and we can think about it. And the last but not least is to talk a little bit about communication, okay? Where we're in a phase, All Stars, ladies and gentlemen, we're in a phase where there is plenty of communication, okay? Plenty. We're communicating all the time via text, via audios, via videos, all kinds of text. We're all kinds of communication, but are we truly engaging? communication versus engagement are two different things. And that's something that we need to know so that we can manage our team across the borders and even remotely. Okay. So I'm going to take a lot of this this session that I'm going to run. Um, in a sense, I'm going to share with you everything that I've learned from different corporations that they've been doing. And then I'm going to throw it out here and we're going to see what works for us. Does that make sense? Because, ladies and gentlemen, all stars, I'm not here to tell you this works and that doesn't. That works and that doesn't. It's too early at this point to be able to do that. Does that make sense, gang? And the last thing we want is what's right, what's wrong. Is that okay, guys? So I want us to start thinking about how we use these strategies to make it work for us. Okay? So let's dive in. But before I dive in, I want to share a very important story, analogy, or phenomenon, because this is what I've realized about how leaders, entrepreneurs, CEOs, okay, all across the board. When I talk to these different communities, I've realized that there were two types of leaders, two types, all right? And then these two types of leaders is really crucial because it actually determines how they handle challenges and how they handle problems, all right? Because going virtual and handling a team while getting my own stuff done, these are all challenges that I've never faced before. But then there will be two types, all right? And depending on which type you are going to fare better in moving forward and getting results in a virtual culture, or it's going to be something that that you're just going to flop with. Now, the two different types of people are this, all right? And I'm gonna share this story with you. How many of you have ever been in what we call a fender bender? You know, those little road accidents, you know, and they're not serious. They're just like. Have you been in that before? A fender bender? I call it a fender bender, a bit of American term, gang.
Definitely.
Any of you been in that? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, gang. All right. If you've ever been in that before, join me. It's either we somebody or somebody us, right? Is that making sense? Okay. Thank you, Karen. Okay. If you've ever been in a fender bender, whether you scratched someone or someone scratched you, think about the state that you're in. And more often, ladies and gentlemen, all stars, most of the time we are in a bit of a, our heart is palpitating, our heart is racing, and we pull our cars to the side of the road and we swing our doors open, and in that split second, you will notice two types of people. There will be the people that are, oh my gosh, can you not see? Are you playing with handphone? Oh my God, tengoklah jalan. Does that make sense, guys? You will see those who are completely consumed by the situation because they got so mad or scared or whatever. And then there will be the second bunch, the second group of people that in that split second of throwing the car door open, well, what is my intention? Okay, so they ask, what outcome, how would I want this to go? What is my purpose? The intention. Now, this is very important because that split second when you throw the car door open, you can choose to react, or you can choose intentionally your state. Does that make sense? And then the second person will come out, okay, are you hurt? Are you okay? All right, we need to go to the police station. We've got to sort this out. Can you go now? Can you go with me? What about the charges? These people are calm. So if I can, I'm bringing it back to this pandemic. And then you will have, all stars, you will have leaders that are just running and they're reacting to everything that's going on. Meeting after meeting after meeting, they don't call it and say, oh my gosh, I cannot have another meeting with you at 9 p.m. You know, I don't get it. It's happening to me as well. People are calling for meetings at 9:30 at night. It used to not be okay when we go to the office, but now because we're all working from home, nowhere else to be, right? Can we have a call at 9:30? I go, so I had to stop being attentional, and that's the difference with being intentional. Because the attentionality is when something grabs my attention and I react to it, like the fender bender. But if I call on my intention to rest well, I'm getting fatigued, I'm getting exhausted, there are too many meetings at night, I'm going to call it and say, guys, why don't you go ahead? I'll get a recording. Thank you, gang. Bye. I need to call the attention. And this is very important because I start with this, all stars, because if I don't, we could literally just keep reacting to the environment, or we design the environment. You can design how you sit, you can design how you attend meetings, but that power has to be with you and not run for you. That is intentional versus attentional. Is that making sense, gang? I'll give you another very important example. Very important, okay? When you turn on your phone right now, okay? So this is very good, right? You turn on your phone, swipe right, okay? All right? How many apps, notifications are there at any given time? How many? Just give me a guess, gang. Got 3 or not? 3 apps.
More than 3, Marissa.
More than,
More than
thanks,
3.
Akili. More than 3, huh? All right, there you go. More than 3. Some people got 10. The whole thing is full because they are in a meeting for 1 hour, ma. Now, if I may, technology's greatest currency, if you have seen The Social Dilemma, the biggest currency is our attention. And if I fall prey to checking all those apps, click, 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 punch, 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 if I fall prey to that versus my intention to turn on my phone for the whole day because I'm detoxing, I've had enough of screen, includes this screen and Netflix. If I've had enough, then my intention is to put this down. So am I driven by intention or I'm driven by attention because I can't control myself? Does that make sense? So this is very, very important because that's how the fatigue happens. Ladies and gentlemen, all stars. And I've gone into so many platforms to talk about meeting fatigue, but there's nothing. You say, yeah, but my bosses keep calling for the meetings and I'm inside one after another, but you have to call it yourself. You have to share what's going on with you. Otherwise you burn out. And that's nobody else's responsibility but our own. Okay, so this is really, really powerful stuff. All right, so I'm sharing some statistics with you. All right, I don't want to take up too much time, but I want to share some statistics with you. This is really powerful, but did you know, okay, 63%, this from Globe Newswire, 63% of remote workers are participating in more meetings online than they have in the office. Why? All right, that's really powerful stuff. 30% of those are spending 2 to 3 hours daily meeting on a camera. That's where the fatigue is coming. So if any of you, how many of you are spending more than 2 to 3 hours looking at a video and having meetings? Say yeah. If you are, just pop it in. Yeah, Achilles?
Okay, so I'll start put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Are you feeling
Do
like
you spend
that?
more than that? Yeah. Oh, Yvonne is 80%. Oh, Victor. Yes. More than 30%, Rosaimi. Kylie. Oh, Philody. Thank you. My goodness. Now, imagine that is the kind of level that we're looking into screens, and otherwise, that's not even our way of life. Okay. So this is very, very important to know, because another thing, did you know, all right, 61% of respondents that indicated that those meetings that they are conducted over video, okay, 65% indicated those videos, the video is important for team engagement, all right? It's important that I can see your face, I can see your reaction, I can see how you said something, not just hear what you said, all right? But the critical thing here is that only 11% of video meetings are used for that purpose. So video is important for team engagement, okay? Because I got to see the face, or I got to see the person's face. 65% know that it's good for team engagement, but of all the video meetings, only a fraction, 11%, is used for that purpose. So I want you guys to think about it, all stars. I want you to think about it. What kinds of meetings do I need to apply video? And what kinds of meetings I don't have to apply video? And now this is an option. This is an option. An option where calls and meetings with just audio is still acceptable. Yes. Is that going to reduce your screen fatigue? So what types of meetings are those? Well, phone call also can. What do you guys think? Let's park it into the comment box. No right and wrong. Like I said, we're going to experiment and have a bit of fun with this, right, Achilles? Yeah. So what kind of meetings? Tak payah video pun tak apa. No right and wrong here. It's called a conversation.
Pick up the phone.
Thank
Negotiation.
you. Yes. Wow. Really good, Edith. Thank you. What else?
Discussions.
Yes. Brainstorming. Wow. Very good. Very good. What else? What else? So, if I can, the intentionality here, all stars, is also asking, if we're having this meeting, do I need the video? Do I need to show you any slides? Do I need to show you any numbers? Is there any data that you want from me? If not, can we do this on the phone? And of all the executives, when I ask them to just plug in that question, can we do this on the phone? More often people think about it and go, yeah, sure. Now, if you move your meetings to a phone call, what happens is that you can plug in the voice, and what you can do is you can move around. And so these are also options to how you tune in. Notice the intentionality, because if it's screen, I've got to sit down, I've got to be rooted somewhere. So if we think about some of these meetings that do not require video, is that more empowering for you to change it up and the fatigue becomes less painful? Does that make sense? Yeah. This is very powerful. And this was a joy for me to find out, because a lot of people say, yeah, Marissa, because they say that you're an extrovert, you like talking to people, so for you, screen fatigue is not an issue. I say, hey, hello. Then I found this. Can I share with you? I found this. There we go. Excuse me. Extroverts get the same screen fatigue. In fact, they just get it a little bit less, 40% compared to introverts that have it at 58% that feel, oh my gosh, I'm tired with my eyes. So it's not an introvert or an extroverted thing. Both people feel it, both types. Make sense, gang?
Marissa, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Totally.
Totally, right? Because they say, Marissa, you suka orang lah, you suka cakap. No. At the end of the day, I still feel the fatigue. Very, very true. Achilles, you feel it as well?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Interesting. Thiladi, never thought of this. Yes, yes. Thought of what, Thiladi? Is it the walking around with meetings or the introvert, extrovert one? This is so good. Thank you, Kylie. Game changer. Now I'm going to share some secrets with you around meeting fatigue, stuff that I've done, and I'm going to share it with you, and stuff that we're getting executives everywhere to try. Okay, so if it's not already clear, all right, all stars, if it's not already clear, the meetings must be better quality. The challenge is there are too many meetings, and you know why you can have too many meetings? Can I just lay it out so bluntly for you? Because it's too easy to have them. It's just too damn easy. You're clicking on the button, click hi, and your face is right there. That's the challenge, but we don't realize it's taking so much bandwidth that is so tipis, our brain is so tipis already because of too many meetings, okay? So what are the meetings that are important? Team, do a daily huddle. And you see, do you know what's a huddle? A daily huddle? So you know football, they huddle before the game goes. They have that huddle, okay, and then they shout out the strategies, they shout out the play, and then boom, bam, 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 bam. Okay, so that's a huddle. Now, a lot of corporate companies, they struggle with this because now we don't go into work. There's no office hours, correct? So we encourage management teams and teams to do daily huddles. Do it at 9:30, but it's called a huddle. Why? We actually do huddles for sales teams, and huddles work this way. In the office, physically, a huddle is a standing meeting. Nobody sits down, because you sit down, the meeting become 2 hours, correct or not? So a huddle, everybody stands and they stand in a circle, 30 minutes maximum. Okay, so do a daily huddle. Now, this is very, very important for managers because it gives you a pulse. A pulse. Does that make sense? It gives you a pulse, and a daily huddle at the same time at this every day. Every day, it's up to you if you want to do a daily huddle in the evening as well, just to top it off. So you can do it at 9:30 and 4:30. That's what we're getting a lot of people to do. And then it sets them for the day and gives them clarity on what their team members are doing. Okay, now this is also in conjunction to some of you, your poll, where you don't know, and I'll share some of those data later. We don't know how to support our team members. Is without the daily huddle, setting a momentum, setting a pace. If we don't have that, then it's very, very hard for us to know how to support people. Does that make sense? Okay. Quality meetings, again, if you can keep the meetings under 30 minutes. Okay, I'll tell you why. Anything more than that, the attention span starts to run. Okay, and I'll tell you this. Corporate executives are much better than this. You guys have better attention span than who? Okay, let me share with you. Entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs, you talk to them for 10 minutes, they blink, 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 and then they can't focus. So if I may, anything more than that, 30 minutes, the attention span starts to deplete. Keep your meetings under that. If you're not getting anywhere, call it, guys, we're not getting anywhere. Can we come back and convene again tomorrow? Call it. Space out your meetings just to give yourself a breather. So don't pack them all together. And last but not least, and this is a big one, many people are guilty of this, unclear agenda. Unclear agenda means, okay, why don't we just meet and talk and find out? But if the meeting is not clear, what we are expecting. So what are we expecting? Then the meeting actually becomes useless. It doesn't create the results that we want, and we're just meeting for the sake of meeting. Okay, this is very important. Let me just get all of it out. Okay, the next one that is very important is to study your ergonomics. When I say study your ergonomics, study how you sit down. We actually sit down for so many hours in a day. If it's not already clear, some of you are having back pain, you have shoulder pain. By the end of the day, you start having a pulling sensation here. All that has to do with your ergonomics. So this is very, very powerful. I'm just going to pull out some of this interesting information. Because I asked a question on whether you guys invested in your workstations. All right, so let me just pull some of that data out that I think the team shared earlier. How many of you spent money in making your workstation more comfortable? All right, take a look at this. 34.8% of you said, no, I didn't spend anything. Now that's crazy. I know some people that are still sitting on the plastic mama chair. They're still sitting on that. And if you sit on that long enough without a backrest, you're going to get back and neck pain. That's so powerful. The other 26.1%, how many of you invested in a comfy chair? That's the next one, 26%. The next one on 13% invested in a bigger monitor. Now, how many of you did that? I got that. I invested because I spent so many hours looking at the screen. So I got a very big monitor, and that allowed me to see. So I increased the font size to everything that I look at. Okay. I still consider myself young. Things are not blur for me, but I made everything bigger so that I can see it easily. Make sense, gang? So if you hadn't already, and look at my headphones. This is very, very clear. This is very, very important because if you're going to spend a lot of time at your workstation, what do you want to have it, how do you want to have it work for you? Does that make sense, guys? So this is very, very powerful. Let me just come back. Okay. So studying your ergonomics is important, but also remember, you don't have to be sitting down all the time. You can stand. Like right now, I'm actually standing. I invested in a table that can elevate itself. So I choose meetings where I stand and I talk. Like this one, very important. And then the rest of the other times when I'm doing my own thinking, I sit down. Does that make sense? But choose how you do standing and walking meetings. We have CEOs that do their CEOs and senior management, the daily huddles that I told you about at 9:30. Do you know how they do that? They actually plug in their phone, the Bluetooth, and they bring their phone along on a walk in the morning. So the daily huddle is along with a walk around the taman, the neighborhood. So it doesn't feel like, oh gosh, I gotta do this meeting. It's let's go for my walk. Does that make sense? Okay, guys, okay. If it's not already being clear, it's lifestyle change. Make sense? And you've got to call it. What kind of lifestyle do you want? And this one, change your tuning in strategy. I say this and I mention it again. Use phone calls. If you don't have to use video calls, all you're going to do is ask the person that you're trying to meet. And the second one, and I love this, okay? Try it. You try it. You try just one meeting in a week and you do this, huh? Tune in from somewhere else. Go to a park. Sit at the bench. Use your hotspot. Use your computer, and then you're outside. Even if you're having a tough conversation with your boss, you're having a tough conversation with your employees, girl, whatever, you're having a tough conversation because you're outside. You don't feel like you're getting dragged down as well. Change your environment and you will change how you think and how you feel. This is super important. Yeah, if you feel you're losing energy and you're dreading the conversation, especially if you're dreading it, take it outside. Okay, if you have that option, please do so. Okay, so what works for you? See, these are all stuff that other people are doing. So what works for you? Does that make sense, gang?
Marissa, like you said, it's different people have different ways, right? And it's
Yes.
not for everyone. Everything is not for everyone and not for, right?
No, no. We need to experiment. We have to find ways to be able to experiment and to test it out, to just even stand, just even sit at the dining table, I know, and this is very important, very, very important. When we work from home, we even need to dress up like we are going to work. Because when you dress up, how I have some people say, yeah, I spray on my perfume like I'm going to work, and then I spray perfume and then I go into the car, right? Spray perfume and then come and sit at the dining table. We start work. Mula kerja. Mindset ma. Oh, I smell the perfume on.
That's what I
Working time.
do.
That's what you do, huh? Betul. Yeah, Kanchana does that too. Okay. How to do it? Thank you so much, Murali. Full lockdown. Very good question. If Murali, it is an option, you change your environment. Change where you sit in the same living room also. Your view just look different also can. But for some of us, if we got a taman and we feel safe, you have your condo, you have the next floor, that fifth floor, and then there's a swimming pool, and it's quite safe lah. You can go and sit there. Does that make sense? Then you change your environment, you don't feel so so dreaded. Yeah, put makeup on. Thank you, Karen. Yvonne, yeah, I wear full makeup and dress. Nowhere to go. Might as well wear. Yeah, that's true. I bought some clothing in between MCO 2.0 and 3.0. Until now, cannot wear, so I wear to my dining room. Lah. I wear to my workstation. Lah. Is that making sense? Yeah. Okay, perfume is very good because perfume is one of your senses. Music also very good. Can you use a music to switch on your mood to start work. For many of us, it's also a cup of coffee. For me, that is, how many coffee lovers do I have in here? Say, yeah,
Yes.
coffee. I smell my coffee. I feel like typing emails, you know. Yeah, I'm cuckoo in that way. Yeah, thank you, Wendy. Shini. Coffee team, shout it out, gang, shout it out. Love it. Does that make sense? So all these are your wake up points. Make sense? All right. Totally important. Okay. Nice, nice, and nice. All right. Now, this is a very interesting conversation because we're going to get more into the remote team working. All right, we're going to get into it. So these are the challenges that we've had from many people. All right, so these are some of the challenges, gang. So I'm just going to lay it all out. I've heard of many of this all across the globe. I'm laying it out here. And some of you, please chime in if you have other challenges that you don't see. Yeah, and I'm also going to show you the poll. So lots of communication, very little connection. Okay, a lot of talking but very little engaging. Okay, that's real. Number two, oh, this is a big one. Open door policy that doesn't work. My door always open. What if they have problem, they can come and talk to me, ma. Open door policy, you guys can read it yourselves. It's not working. Okay, so what do I do? All right, hang on, let me get there. Number three, unrealistic work from home expectations. Suddenly the working styles when the working style is a little bit different, it shows. And what is showing is these two words here. Can you see that? Micro and macro. If I micro, people don't like. I macro, things don't get done. Hello, then how? Do you guys want to know? Do you guys want to know how?
Yes.
There's a very, very clear formula to this. Okay, I'm going to teach you as one of you asked inside the question, so it was totally awesome. Let's get to it. Number four is a lack of trust and rapport, especially if the team is new, the team is unfamiliar. It's very, very hard to build trust and rapport. So I'm just going to get into that as well. And the last one, lack of consistency in getting things done. I think this is just the most obvious line. Getting things done is a lot slower. Many conversations. I'm not sure. Is this what you wanted? Just the overall standard. Okay. So I'm just going to go to your poll. All right, gang. I'm going to show you your poll that you guys beautiful at doing it. So I asked a question. What were some of the challenges that you faced when managing your team remotely? Yeah. Oh, and this came back, guys, at a whopping, write this down, 50%. This came back, hard knowing if my team members are struggling. How many of you have that issue? I don't know where they need help. You need help, you need to ask me, right? You need to shout out, right? How am I supposed to know you don't know how to do that part? You know, you need to ask, ma. Okay, that's 50%, the whole pie chart. Okay, the next one now, I want you to write down number two. This is number two is two areas. 15.2% for both. Number two is some people, 15.2%, no challenges at managing remotely, Chewa. And the other 15.2% is some managers feel misunderstood. Okay. Number three, so there were two at number two. Number three at 10.9% is my door is always open concept, but it's not working. Employees don't reach out. So you see the open door policy, that's also the third one. Okay. So if I can, there are these challenges that are real, and I want to get to some of them. All right. I really want to get to some of them because this is true. All right. Very, very true. This is again from the Globe and Mail and also coupled with Harvard Business Review. 44% of more than 7,800 respondents in this poll said this, 44%. They did not feel free to speak their minds to their bosses. Now, this included, okay, for executives talking up to their managers, this included
Marita?
oops, somebody muted me.
This included?
This included people with daily challenges. So, you know, when they have daily challenges of this parcel sent to who? Yeah, the delivery went to the wrong house. Your daily challenges, a lot of executives are not highlighting operational daily issues when they are working from home. Does that make sense? Where systems and processes there are gaps, they don't highlight it. Okay, so this is one. The second issue that a lot of the respondents, which are executives, workers in the workplace, they also don't highlight, and this you have to be privy, they don't talk about their health issues. Now, this is very important because people are struggling working from home. They manage themselves, their work, their teams, their families, their one kid, two kid, three kids, their elderly mother, hospitalized, have to be treated. They manage. I know a lady who runs a company with 45 people. Her mother had a stroke. She has 3 kids to take care of, all in that one big house, and she's the CEO. Gila or not, the kind of stuff. So she just called me a couple of days ago, crying at her wit's end. And all I told her to do, honestly, to ask her this question, if you leave for 2 days, is all this going to fall apart? Her answer was no. She packed up and went and checked into a hotel that had a MITI permit that's open, and then go and stay there. Seriously, because she was at a wit's end. So it's not easy. But the second area, okay, the second part is the employees' personal issues. How are they handling things? Another corporate company that I work with, many executives, corporate executives, were having depression because they live alone. They hadn't seen anybody except from screens. So there was a depression issue, and it's clinical. It's not, I'm just sad. It's clinical. But it's things like this, as managers, we need to know. So these 2 issues were not brought up. So if we look at the respondents and how all these things they're going through, they're not speaking their minds. What can we do? Okay, now these are really, really powerful practices. Any simple VASU, any simple self-assessments to self-diagnose, okay? You can self-diagnose. There are lots of those free assessments online. But I think the crucial part is this, okay? The crucial part is number 2, okay? Crucial part number 2. The crucial part is you can send these assessments, okay, guys, and maybe you're a head of department. Okay, guys, go and do this self-assessment. But if suddenly somebody did the self-assessment and then, oh my gosh, borderline depressed, is your employee going to bring that to you and say, boss, this is my challenge? Do you have an open line to them that they are going to bring that problem to you? Or do they need to wait until they are depressed, borderline psychotic, because they're stuck in 4 walls by themselves, before they tell you? And this is important because I'm going to lay some of these very, very powerful tips here. Number 1, no open door policy. Literally, managers, if you're on this call, block out times in your week that you call it office hours. And that those office hours, make it really clear to your managers, your employees, your subordinates, make it really clear. This time is for you. You take it, don't take it. I'm just sitting here and waiting for one of you to come in, and then you can use Calendly and get them to book time. So that's how you say it. Now, take it a bit further, managers and leaders, because this is what I ask my corporate leaders to do. If you know this person is new or you know this person is struggling, during this office hours, call them. Call them. Make a phone call. Doesn't have to be Zoom and an agenda and blah, blah, blah. Hey, Leon, how's it going over there? Hey, talk to me about the leads. Talk to me. If you're calling them, they will have an opportunity to, I get a chance to talk to Marissa. Oh, okay. This person, how? I sent email, but then he's not responding. How? It opens up. And the funny thing is, when you are running your open door policy, all this stuff doesn't come to you, but when you call your staff, they will have tons to share with you. Isn't that funny?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That is your true litmus test. You will hear stuff that they don't even bring to you, but you call them, they will talk about it. Being open, and this is a very big one, being open with your team's issue on safety and health. Recently, the numbers got so high. I had a really sit down conversation with my whole team. Guys, how you pergi keluar, order food, your mask wear double, I actually told them how you stand, how you talk, how you take the grab food. As the CEO of the company, I was getting right to a level where if you take food, okay, please make sure you spray the package and wipe it clean and then wash your hands and then start eating. I tell them that. I gave them a whole course workshop on how they stay COVID free. Does that make sense? Because I care. And then one of them told me he had not enough to cook. You know, he was very sick. He couldn't cook. He didn't go out. I sent his dinner over to his house in Bukit Jalil. Okay. I do that for my team. So if I can, when you do that, you cross a line into personal and they say, this guy, she cares about me. And that's what I want. Do your employees know that you care about them? This is how open you have to be, and then they will voice it out. I had a fight with my family, I had a fight with my husband, I had a fight. You hear about it and it does get in the way of doing the work. Being informal, okay, this is a very big one. I know some of us are sometimes very curt when we talk on text, and especially on text, I highly encourage, if you're going to have a tough conversation, never do it on text. It's either a phone call, okay, or, and I love this, guys. I'm just going to highlight another very powerful part of the poll. Let me bring this to you. Many of you said this, okay. What communication do you generally prefer? Okay, guys, are you ready to write this down? Number one, at 37%, all of you at 37% said you prefer text. Okay, all right. Number two, 34.8% preferred video call. Number three, at 28%, people preferred phone call. Okay, now this is very important because 37% prefer text. Now, what is the damage with text is in our communication modalities, ladies and gentlemen, all stars, in our communication modalities, we have three modalities. We have words, yeah, very important, write down. We have audio, our voice intonation, okay. And then number three is body language. Can you see my body language? You can see how excited I am, right? Now, with these three, words is only, write it down, 7%. 7% of effectiveness, when you communicate, the words is only 7%, okay? Number two, audio is only 38%. So I can hear the tonality of me saying something, okay? Loud, soft, all right? Up, down. Body language is the remainder, 55%. Now, this is so powerful because if I use text, how many percent am I leveraging on my communication modalities? How many, gang? Hello? If I only use text, I only use 7%. Yeah. Yes, thank you, Diggs. Oh my gosh, if I only text someone and I want to confront him or confront her, and I do it on text, I am only using 7%. Versus if I pick up the phone, I start using the other 7 plus 38%. So I got extra 45%. Does that make sense? But if I'm going to, I gotta have a real conversation about how she's doing this. Oh my gosh, she's letting everybody down. Okay, video. And that's when you have all the 100%. This is very important. Thank you, Diggs. Thank you, Yazid. Awesome stuff. Now, I'm surprised. This is a shocker for me, yeah? I'm surprised that nobody clicked audio. Do you know how you can use your WhatsApp and, okay, this email, kenapa you nak buat macam tu? Wait, do you think you could try this? You could try that. Okay, click. Let me know. Thanks. Bye. Click. Audio. Now, I'm surprised nobody used that. Okay, why audio? Audio gives you auditory. Does that make sense? So this is very powerful because if you're going to say something, it also comes with your intonation and tak kena salah faham. Okay, something to consider, something to consider. Number 3, be informal. So for some of us that are, sometimes too straightforward, add one smiley face at the end, because sometimes the text can be very hard. Use emoticons to lighten the mood, because if you're informal, you become approachable. Guess what happens? Your employees open up. Okay. And last but not least, I just have to say one of the things here is know that this is equally new for your boss. So when you know that your boss, your CXO, your CEO, your head of department, virtual is new for everyone. And then sometimes we're so hard on the bosses, and then the bosses also don't know what to do. Guess what? We need to bagi feedback. Does that make sense? Know that it is new for your boss too. He, she also struggling with their own families, working from home. It's not like they don't have the problems that you're having. They do. It's just that if you don't tell them what you want, they will never know. They are suffering the same thing. Make sense? Okay, I'm just going to speed up a little bit because I've got totally a lot of questions, but I've answered some of the questions. Actually, it's really good. Yeah. Yes, very, very important to be fair. Okay, so this is crucial. 42%, just some more statistics, 42% of employees admitted they withheld information. Okay, 20% of employees stated that they feared the consequences and kept them from addressing, this is what I shared earlier, ordinary company problems, okay, daily operational stuff. So this is important. This is even in the Globe and Mail. All right, so just bear in mind a few things. I'm just gonna, this is the last bit that I want to share before I finish up. Okay, first and foremost, if we want to communicate, all right, the key thing is to be, if you want to engage, not communicate, to engage, as leaders and as managers, we also have to realize that when we open ourselves, and I really love this, by so many of you have heard from Brené Brown on vulnerability. That's what I talk about here with first to disclosure, which means if you want your employees to come to you, you want to tell them it's a safe space, you need to act first. You need to act first by saying, I also having challenges with working from home. Ayo, my kids are running everywhere. Ayo, I don't know when to go. I got too many meetings. You become first to disclose that you are also having challenges, but maybe it's a safe space to discuss how to make it work for managers and co-workers. Does that make sense, guys? First to disclosure. So you have to be vulnerable first. Does that make sense? The second one, okay, this is about establishing collaboration. And the thing about establishing collaboration is the gaps that we have in our team dynamics become clearer, more obvious when we work from home. Does that make sense? So if I can, one of the key collaborations is this. If you ask for feedback, managers, you ask for feedback from your employees, get feedback and act on it. Okay, don't just get feedback and then after that do nothing with it. Act on it and say, thank you for that, Amanda. I really appreciated how you told me not to bug you during lunch because you're preparing for your kids. I hear you on that. And this is what I've done to manage my own expectations. As a manager, you have that conversation, your employees feel, oh, my boss is listening. Last one on modalities, I talked about words, auditory, and body language. So you have to be aware of those modalities. And last but not least, addressing daily issues that affect employees and their quality of work. That even means sometimes getting into a little bit of the personal space. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to get to the end of it. Summary and takeaways. And if I can, all stars, if you're having some takeaways, write them down now, but I'm going to just summarize it. Okay. And I'm going to get into some Q&A if you have time. The virtual culture amplifies the gaps in collaboration. Okay, so where there are gaps, it probably existed before the MCO, before pandemic, it's just going to be even more. Okay, number two, no one magic bullet. You must experiment and you must test what works for you, what works for your team, what works for you, what works for your team. Does that make sense, gang? Okay. Number three, remember, everyone is equally new at this virtual culture. We were just on a webinar on empathy. Remember, it is equally hard on all of us, okay? Because we all want human connection, okay? But many of us still business as usual. But that difficulty of managing our entire lives, everybody is new at it. Feedback upwards and downwards is needed. Okay, so to talk about it, to discuss it openly so that you can make it work for each other. Last but not least, caring for your employees at a personal level. We could almost get by not discussing personal when we work in the office. Wait. You ada masalah apa? Please leave it at the door and then walk into the office, right? Have you heard that before, guys? Please be professional. Don't bring your work problems to the office. Have you heard that before? If you had, this is the time that you cannot say that. As a leader, as a manager, you've got to also have conversations about how are you dealing with it at home, because at home is where they work. How can you not have that discussion? Does that make sense? So this is also important on how to allay it. Okay? There we have it. Thank you so much, everybody. Did you have a blast? Did you enjoy the session so far? Say yeah. And what did you learn? And then maybe I'll pass it to Achilles for a bit. I'm so sorry, but we used up a lot of the Q&A time, but I addressed a lot of it in the session.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Marissa. So do we have questions from our audience here live and also live on Workplace? If you do have questions, but before that, I'm going to share my screen. I would like to thank our sponsors as well today. So if you have not downloaded the Naluri Health app, okay, our All-Star Health Coach, get back on track. If you don't know about it, I don't know whether All-Stars, you're so busy on all these different Zoom calls that you don't know that we rolled out this very, very amazing app for all of you for your health needs. Not only health needs, yeah, it improves your emotional well-being. It can manage your chronic health conditions. You can build resilience. You can boost your overall fitness, health. You can scan that QR code over there, or you can go to Workplace and there's more information. Just find for the post All-Star Health Coach. You can just do a simple search. You'll find out more information. It is open and many languages are supported. So our Thai colleagues, it is supported in Thai. It is also supported in Indonesian and coming soon Tagalog. So please do, and in Malay as well. So please do check the app out. This has brought to you, today's presentation has brought to you by Naluri as well. So I would like to thank them. And now it's open for questions. So if we have questions, let's go on. So, okay, I don't see any questions on the chat, but we have pre-submitted questions, which I want to, I know you have addressed a lot of it, right, Marissa, today.
Yeah.
But one question that is pretty interesting, I would say, is how to raise issues to managers without being too emotional and unprofessional.
That's a really good one. Okay, so if I can, raising issues to your manager without being emotional and unprofessional, the only thing that we need to do when we're emotional about something means we have to accept that it's something that we care about, right? But sometimes it's something that we care about so much that when it comes across to the next person, it comes off as, oh, you're taking it personally. So if I can, for that first question, okay, before you talk to anybody about the issue, always put yourself in their position. Okay, that's called taking the second position. So when we take things personally, we're taking the first position. It's how I see what's going on. But if I put myself in the second position, I literally put myself into that person's position, I can see what they're seeing from their angle. When I can do that, that is actually a sense of maturity, if I can, to take it from many different positions. The third position, okay, is actually taking yourself out and looking at the two of you. If you tengah conflict with another person, you can see yourself and the other person. The fourth position is taking yourself out into the systemic view. That means you can see the ecosystem. You can see manager versus employee, colleague versus HOD versus HOD. You can see the system. So these are called the four perceptual positions. If I have time, I can actually elaborate. But when you can take all these positions, you will calm down. And this is a process that I encourage many executives. This is part of neurosemantics. It's called taking, and this is, try this right now. Guys, can you take your hand? Put your hand, okay. Can you put it like 1 inch from your face? 1 inch, me 1 inch, right? Okay, what do you see?
My palm.
You see your hand, right?
Anything.
Now, I take it 6 feet, just like this, 6 inches away. What more can you see? Can you see your wrist? Can you see your fingers? You can see the rest of your arm, right?
Yeah.
Take it further away lagi. What more can you see? You can see the whole arm and you can see everything else. The four perceptual positions is an exercise that I use with leaders and corporate executives to get their hand further from the face. When your hand is too near, you cannot see a lot of things and then we become emotional. It's too near. The problem is too close to you. But when you process it and take all those positions that I showed you just now, that's how you process it to take it further, and then we can react maturely. Does that make sense? This is neurosemantics on processing. And another very important thing is when you're emotional, don't talk to people. Because when emotion is high, where's the intellect? Logic?
Low.
Low. This is not made up. The part of your brain that gets emotional when it's fired up immediately switches off the other part that is logical. And when it's logical, the emotion, so it is actually an inverse correlation. If you want to know more, study more from Daniel Goleman, emotional intelligence, because these are different poles, like north and south pole. Does that make sense? So that's why when you tengah meradang, you're pissed off, never go and have a conversation with anyone. Cool it down first. Then come back and talk. And how you cool it down? Have that perceptual positions. Does that mean process it?
Wonderful.
Cool, right? Yeah.
I love that. And again, All Stars, we do have a few minutes because Marissa and I agreed that we will have until 1:15 in case we go over. So if those of you who want to stay and ask questions, feel free. Daniel Goleman, the book, right? Emotional intelligence. That's something that all of us managers can go and read and understand a little more. So, and I like that logic and emotion is inverse. Next on, Diana, do we have a question?
We have another question. This is an interesting one as well, but I think some parts of it have been addressed. But anyway, let's just ask. How do we transfer our energy while presenting or explaining a proposal to the viewers? For example, in the room, we can feel the energy emitting from the audience, but from a virtual meeting, how can we sense the energy from the crowd viewers other than having videos to be turned on and also having all to be vocal?
This is a good one. Thank you so much, Diana. First and foremost, we must address that the screen absorbs 30% of the energy. This is survey done because when I'm talking with you now, I'm not talking with you at my average energy, which is already high. I should put in more so that you can feel it. So you see even the way I stress my words, how I use my hands. So that is all very important because that's part of transferring energy into the screen. Okay. How do you stay energized? Okay. Number one, of course, we have kind souls that show the video and then I'm talking to them. See, like I'm talking to Diana, I'm talking to Achilles, I'm talking to Yazid, I'm talking to Frank right now. I'm actually talking with you because I can see your faces. Now, the reason why we look at faces, it's easy because we're talking to somebody, it's a nodding head. So remember, when you are the speaker, you need good listeners. And when you're a listener, be a good listener. Does that make sense? So being a good listener, turn on your video and not, it's easier for the person. Kalau tidak, does that make sense? Or read the chat. Okay, so those all help you to be more energized. Okay, does that make sense, gang? Oh, thank you, Hemant,
I
for
know. Thank you
sharing.
very much, Heyman,
Oh, amazing.
for that. You know, he shared with us a very interesting. I mean, the book link over there, which I will put on the managers group, manager at AirAsia group, for our bite-sized learning. Wonderful. Next on, I think we can take on one more question. We have about 6 minutes more. Let's look at that question. So let me choose one of the questions that you have not answered.
I've not answered. Yes, please.
Right? How to stay focused. Okay, this is interesting. I like this one a lot. As a manager joining a new team completely remotely, how to motivate them, engage in a personal way, create a team spirit, work from home, and also how to check if team members have enough work, too much work, getting bored, can't be following up on a daily basis and micromanage.
Okay, good. So this is where I'm going to talk with you about micro and macro manage, all right? Okay, now, true most important thing is as a manager, when you have a new person join, okay, the key is to increase frequency of communication. This is not a virtual thing. This even needs to happen outside, pre-lockdown. When any new team member join, increase your frequency with that person. Now, this is very important because when you increase your frequency with that person, okay, let's just say you're the head of department or you're a senior and then you had somebody added to your team. When you increase the frequency, what happens is you learn about him and he learns about you. So this is very important because, and if I can increase the tempo, be a part of the daily huddles, see what he's focusing on, okay? And when you're inside the daily huddles, you get to set up a tempo and a momentum to your new hire. And when you increase the communication, even those phone calls, when you walk around and you do those phone calls, you find out what their issues are. Do that because this is part of you learning how they work. What are their challenges? I almost have to say this. When you have a new team member, and I encourage everybody this, you almost need to micromanage. Now, what is micromanaging? Coba, okay? Because a lot of people say, micromanage, I don't like. Okay, wait. Micro and macro manage is very real that we don't know how to balance it because of one very wrong salah faham. It's a very wrong impression. Micro and macro manage is not about the person. You don't micro and macro manage Andy, micro and macro manage Sharifa. No, you're micro or macro managing a task. And when somebody is new to you and your organization, it is important to micromanage until, and this is an agreement that you get with new people, okay? It is very important to micromanage until you get evidence that they know how to complete the task. Does that make sense? This is very important. So get an agreement with the team member. I need to micromanage you now because Andy, you're new here. You don't know anything about all of us as all stars. I don't know anything about you and what you can do, although your resume says you can do some really amazing stuff. But we gotta get into this frequent conversation. I'll follow up with you. It'll feel like micromanaging, but actually I'm trying to get an idea. I'm trying to get evidence on what you can and cannot do. When I get an idea on, Andy can do this, I will back off and I'll go macro on this task. Now, this is important because many leaders make the mistake. This one, I hire manager, 20 years of experience, 10 years of experience, terus pergi macro. And what happens terus pergi macro? Sometimes you don't learn, you don't get that frequency of understanding the culture and the values. Okay, does that make sense? So if I can, micro and macro is not about the person. It is about the task. I can have somebody that has worked with me for 20 years. Okay, yeah? And I will still go micro on him on new tasks. Does that make sense? So if you are talking about new team member, definitely do micro. Back off when you start seeing evidence that she knows how to do certain things. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Without being, but most people micromanage the person instead of the task.
Yes. So it's very important for us to start, and this is as leaders, we need to start knowing our employees very well, what they consider as a strength and what they consider as a struggle. And if I can, I consider, I hope corporate executives do this. We call them debriefs or postmortems or reviews. So when a project is done, okay, a very important process a lot of executives miss out is they miss out reviewing. Okay, what happened in this project that went well? What happened in this project that didn't go well? What happened? So you see, when you do a review process, you start to learn a lot about the people that were involved. So you got to use, because review is called a rear view. Rear view means in hindsight, what do I do differently? And when you take a part of that process, you really learn about the employees that were involved. That is very important for you to start knowing their strengths and their struggle. The more you do of that, the more you can start to macro because you know them very well. So much so, sometimes you can know them better than they know themselves. That's epic. Okay. Thank you. Yes, Dix, the reflection and the review. Okay. Very
Wonderful,
nice.
Marissa. You know, there's this last thing that says, how do we reward or penalize their performance?
Yeah.
Because we
Okay.
can't see them, right? And they're 100% remote.
Yeah. If I can, thank you, Achilles. That's a fantastic question. Before a penalty, I will always make sure we call out unresourceful behavior. Call it out first. Confront, call it out. I notice that your messages or replies are very slow. It's difficult to run, and I don't know how much you've done. You know, you want to call it out. So confront and call out before the penalty, because you see, this is the thing. We don't know what the other person is going through. We definitely don't. So calling it out means that we can get at a level to discuss it. Now, if there needs to be a reward, what I like to do as a reward, okay, and reward and penalty, there are two types, monetary and non-monetary. Does that make sense? Yazid is so happy over there. I can see him. You have monetary and non-monetary. Always try and use the non-monetary. So a non-monetary reward is appreciation, recognition, acknowledgement. Does that make sense? If it's penalties, if it's non-monetary, try not to have it affect their incentives, but call it out, address it in the team meeting, or even a confrontation. That is more useful before actual financial impact. Yeah. Okay. So that's my advice.
Totally agree with what you just said, and I'm sure our audience here are very, very happy. And once again, Marissa, on behalf of all the All Stars AirAsia, thank you so much. I know we've gone over the time, and we agreed that we would go on for 15 minutes extra, 17 minutes extra. And for those of you who stayed on, thank you very much. From all of us here, do fill up the feedback form. And if you like this kind of series, you like this kind of talks, we know that a lot of you are struggling as well. A lot of us are struggling together, right? At the same time, learning these new norms. And I see a last question. What is your favorite book for engaging young team differently? But we have answered the question
Okay.
earlier.
Yeah.
Similar question, but you're typing it in there. Drive, Daniel Pink. There we go. There's a
Drive by Daniel Pink, one of the best when it comes to motivation. And he talks about how the younger generation are motivated. Okay, so that's a very good one. Small book, tons of great stuff.
wonderful. Thank you, Marissa, and hopefully we'll see you again in one of the talks. And once again, All Stars, if you've not downloaded the health app, the All Star Health Coach by Naluri, please go ahead, download it. It has a lot of different modules, and you can follow the different modules according. It's once again, health is not only physical, health is emotional, financial, it's holistic, okay? So this app will help you in your holistic journey towards your well-being at the end of the day. Once again, myself, Achilles, and Diana, thank you very much, Marissa, and hope to see you. I saw you just popped in your LinkedIn link there. You can follow Marissa there as well. Hopefully you post a lot of things on LinkedIn, so you do. Perfect, so we can follow you and we can see updates. And all stars, do Diana, you want to just talk a little bit about some engagement activities this week or next week that we have planned?
Yeah, if you are available on Friday, join us for the second pantry session. Show us your pets, your furry friends. We'd love to see them. And we have a session, a masterclass session for AirAsia Beauty. You can learn the 10-step Korean skincare. And then I guess that's it for this week, Achilles. And Marissa, thank you so much. That was very enlightening. This is the end of our session, Rocking the Virtual Culture with Marissa Ng, Naluri Executive Coach, Founder and CEO of the Spark Group Asia. We have covered meeting fatigue, real or myth, what to do about this, effective strategies in managing a remote team, enabling better new norm communication. And all stars, please don't forget to fill up the feedback form, okay? Thank you everyone for joining, and we'll see you guys on our next sessions. We'll let you know on happenings at AirAsia.
Thank you very much, All Stars.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Bye, guys.
Bye. Stop there.
Bye, guys.
Okay, live streaming is stopped. Thank you.
Bye.